On this computer. Okay, welcome to another awesome Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit interview. It's me, Demetria Samuels, CEO of Corporate Hustle University, where we help working professionals do what? Monetize their skill sets so they can do what? Thrive in any economic environment. And I am so excited to have somebody that I've met over the last year. She is in my mastermind. She is in my team. So I'm blessed to talk to her almost like every week about business. She's just awesome. And I can't wait for you guys to hear from Delmar. She's going to tell you about herself, but I just want to let you know that when you get around knowledge and you get around information, you need to take notes. So if you're not taking notes, you need to do so, right? Because this will help you inside and outside of corporate America. I guarantee you do not want to miss this conversation. So, Delmar, welcome to the Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit. Tell the
Thank
people
you so
about yourself.
much.
No
Oh,
problem.
most definitely. I'm happy
Yeah.
to be here. Well, I'm Delmar Johnson. Hey, everybody. I am the founder of the brand HR Brain for Hire and co-founder of the brand Expand HR, where we help small business CEOs, particularly primarily women business owners, move from being the talent in their business to being the visionary of their business and leading their teams. So let's just jump right in. I want you to make sure that you tune into the Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit hosted by Demetria Samuels. And we're going to get into this great chat, I believe.
Tell us what made you go the entrepreneur route instead of the corporate route?
Well, that's a little story behind that, Demetria. So actually, I did go the corporate route first. So let's get that very clear. I did go the corporate route for a long time, when it got the degrees that they, say go get, so you can be a better position to have the corporate life that you want. And I actually had a pretty good corporate life. So I won't, I'm a thumbs that up. Had a pretty good corporate life. And as corporate life went on, there's ebbs and flow to corporate life, right? So you may get downsized. I got downsized a couple of times during my corporate career. It's always been in HR. So HR kind of runs through my DNA, runs through my veins. But then I hit a pocket where literally I had to start thinking about other things outside of corporate America, because what happened was my life fell apart, kind of fell on the sideline. You know how you kind of look at your life, you're like, what just happened? It was one of those moments like, what just happened? So in 2009, I can't believe it's been that long ago. 2009, my life fell apart. I lost everything. And with losing everything, you have to figure out, okay, now what's going to happen next? I'm going to pick my life back up. What am I going to do with myself now? So what happened, I moved back to Memphis, which is my hometown. I moved back home after being gone from my family like 12 years. We'll see them on holidays, obviously. But for 12 years, I worked in other cities, other states, and lost everything at the bottom of 2009, moved back home at the top of 2010. So I've lost everything. And then I moved into caregiving a month later. So Generation X knows a lot about taking care of aging parents. So that was my role at that time. So while I'm trying to figure out how to pick up my life, I have to help my mother sustain hers. That was very, very difficult, very, very difficult. And if anybody's that's been in the caregiving role for a long period of time, my assignment was 10 years. My assignment was 10 years. So anybody that's been in that and then lost everything before that, know that you got to figure out another way to make a living, to make revenue, to bring in income, to help the household, to help yourself get your life back, on track. And that's exactly what I had to do. So I had to figure out what was in my hands. What was in my hands that I could do that can bring it into the marketplace, and then support myself and putting my life back together while I was also helping sustain my mother. So I figured, you know what? I know HR. If I don't know anything else, I knew HR. So that's what was in my hands. And I said, okay, how can I turn this into something where I can make a living from? Because I wasn't even thinking about entrepreneurship really at that moment. I'm trying to figure out how can I make a living without necessarily being in a building from 9 to 5. That's really where that came from. So my brand, HR Brain for Hire, was actually birthed out of me losing everything. And probably people who are going to be listening to this can relate to the fact that your most brilliant ideas can come from a place of brokenness, because you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to tap into that energy, into that power that lies within you, but you may hadn't tapped into it enough. But when you're in a space where you have nowhere to go but up, you begin to figure some things out and just do it one day at a time. So I don't know what I was doing when I first started, Demisha. I knew HR enough where I might could help a few people, and get paid for it.
I love that. You guys, first of all, it's what we always talk about in Corporate Hustle University. Corporate is stable, but not loyal. They're not loyal to you. If you work for them, you're going to get your paycheck every 2 weeks. But a merger, acquisitions, somebody brilliant idea decided that outsource this team, all the things that can happen, that have happened, and it depends on what's going on. So that's why I always tell you, build a business now before you have to build the business. Build the brand, your personal brand now before you're forced to build your personal brand. Now, luckily, Delmar was able to say, I'm gonna use what's in my hands. And I think that that's awesome because I truly believe that we're all experts at something. And so if you just look inside, you can find a business inside of you. And then about the caretaker thing, my mom has been a caretaker for my sister since she was born. So it's kind of like, since I've been 5 years old, I know eventually my assignment is caretaking, like, because I know that my sister will always need somebody to take care of her. So I do understand that. And that is awesome that you were able to step into your assignment and then at the same time, find a way to sustain. So let's get into it. What is life like on a day-to-day as an entrepreneur? Like, you know how they always like do money generating activities or, but nobody really knows, I feel like, until you leave corporate, what it's like to work for yourself. So just give us some insight into that.
Ooh, that's a big question, Demisha. Okay, so let's get into it. Right off the bat, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Let's just get that on the table. Not for the faint of heart. There can be a lot of lonely days, because I'm gonna give it to you real. There can be a lot of lonely days. Not all days are you even in the mindset to do cash generating activities, revenue generating activities. That's not an everyday thing. For most entrepreneurs, that literally is not an everyday thing. Now, some people have gotten down pat, and that's become their everyday thing. That's become their everyday thing. But that doesn't mean that they don't have ebbs and flows. You can be on the mountaintop, one quarter, hey, clients coming in, leads being converted, money coming in, and then you hit a wall for whatever reason. Life is lifing. Children are being children, families are being families, business is being business. And then you can run into a wall. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what just happened in Q2? Everything just got shaken up, so it can be ebbs and flows every day. Yes, is revenue generating activities very important. This probably should be part of your top 3 priorities that you're doing every day. But honestly and realistically, it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every day. Entrepreneurship can be very rewarding too. On the other side of that, being lonely, or if you're working in a silo, you hadn't built your community yet, or you're not attached to a community that's really feeding into you, and then that you're able to pour into and they pour into you, then it can be a challenge, but it can be rewarding at the same time, because now you're being able to tap into your own creativity and being innovative and coming up and trying ideas. Not all your ideas are going to work. That's keeping it real. Not all of your ideas are going to work, but the fact that you're having ideas, you can write it down. You can write it. I have journals all around me. I probably shouldn't have this many journals, Demisha. It's kind of ridiculous. But you can have a journal that just houses your dreams, that just houses your ideas. And that's your go-to book. It's like, what, let me tap back into the ideas that I had maybe a month or 2 ago that I just kind of put on the back burner. It may be time to tap into one of those ideas. So not all your ideas are going to work, but the fact that you continue to dream, that you continue to tap into your creativity and your innovation will help you get through entrepreneurship. And then another part of entrepreneurship, I'm keeping it real today. Another part, so you can be lonely, it can be challenging, you can be in a silo, you can build a community, be part of a community that feeds into you and can be very rewarding. And then entrepreneurship can also be topsy-turvy. It can be a seesaw, just like with being in a silo, being in a community, all the rewards, all the challenges, but then you have to really be a decision maker. It comes down to really deciding, are you going to do it or are you not? Are you committed or are you not? Are you wanting to be the CEO? And you don't have to, listen, let me say, you don't necessarily have to stay the CEO. Most of the time, we're just the founder. We're the founder of an idea, but somebody else may need to be the CEO to run it. You kind of give oversight as a founder. You may be the chairman of the board at some point, like most companies. They have a CEO, but the chairman of the board is usually the founder. When it comes to it, and you've grown your business that way. And then another part of that is give yourself grace. Give yourself grace as an entrepreneur, because there's going to be days where you're going to want to beat yourself up. So you have to change your language. You have to learn how to tap into your mindset, because it really is the mindset that's going to drive how you continue to be committed in the entrepreneurship world.
I love that.
Oh, I said a lot. I hope somebody.
Okay. They need it. They need it. They need it. Okay, because it's not all roses and glasses and out here. And there are different types of entrepreneurs, right? There's, of course, the people who want to build complete scale, big businesses. There are those of us who just want to sit at home and try to run a digital business and have 100% contractors and there's all types, right? There's some of us in the short game, meaning I just want to make lots of money right now, but I want to build it to sell it or to other things. So there's plenty of different entrepreneurs. We're going to switch gears for 1 second, because HR, when I think of the word HR, I'd be like, listen, I'm in corporate. I'd be like, listen, I stay far, far, far away from HR. Like it got to be that somebody done beat me and threw me down the stairs before I even call HR for anything, because I'm of the mindset that HR's job is to protect the company. No matter how many propaganda they want to tell you that we're here for you and all of that, their primary objective, in my opinion, is to protect the company. And if that means it benefits me because they're protecting the company, that's great for you. But at the end of the day, their objective is to make sure that the company's best interest is what is served. So being that you came from corporate, can you share some insight into HR and how, your opinion about corporate HR and its actual role in a company?
Sure, most definitely. Well, HR has always gotten a bad rep. Okay, let's talk about that. HR has always gotten a bad rep, and I get it, because I've been in it long enough to understand. I get it, because I've been an employee, I've been in HR, so I've been on both sides. So yeah, we get a bad rep. However, if you're looking at it from a corporate standpoint, and then we'll talk about it from the entrepreneur standpoint, you're looking at it from a corporate standpoint, yes, HR has an invested interest in the company, okay? Because even HR is an employee of the company. Most people forget that. HR people, that department is a department and an employee of the company. So not only are they the employee, but they're also the keeper, the gatekeeper, as they used to be called, right? They're the gatekeeper to make sure that the company, or to help the company stay compliant, which is very important, because there are employment laws that govern how a company functions. It just is. That's the way of the world, and that's the way of the land that we're living in. So HR does have a vested interest in that. But also important to understand about HR from a corporate standpoint, they have a vested interest to make sure that that employees are treated fairly. Okay, they can't be haphazard. They may be a gatekeeper, and they may have a vested interest in helping the company, maintain, be compliant, go by employment laws and all those kind of things, help prevent, lawsuits. So nobody likes lawsuits. I don't care who you are. Nobody likes lawsuits. So working with those departments and working from that perspective, but HR, being that they are an employee and a gatekeeper as well, they also have to be mindful that employees have rights because of the employment laws that are in place. They have rights. And then you have internal policies that actually creates the culture. So not only are HR part of being the gatekeeper, but they're also the cultivator of the culture within the company. So they have multiple roles. And like I said, we usually get a bad rep, but that's why it also takes tough skin to be in human resources too. You can't be a wimp. Sorry. You can't be a wimp in human resources, especially in corporate. You can't be it in me helping small business owners either. But in corporate, you cannot be a wimp. You have to really understand what those laws are, really how they should be applied, not only to the company as the gatekeeper, but also how does it allow the employees to be treated fairly too. So they kind of have, it's kind of two sides to an HR person. and to an HR department. But I know everybody says, oh, they just got the best interest of the company. Yes, they do have to keep the best interest of the company, but they also cannot go against employment laws that's going to damage an employee, right? Because that backfires.
Yeah,
that backfires on them as the HR department, but it also backfires on the company. So it winds up not being a win-win for anybody.
Right. That makes perfect sense, because what you're saying is like, I like that part where HR is also the keeper of the culture. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And I always say that if there's a bad manager, that's going to cause like an uproar in the whole entire department, I always feel like it has to be like all of us have to have the same complaint to, because now they realize, wait a minute, you're messing with the money. Because we can't afford to replace all of these people. We don't want heavy churn. We don't want this, right? But I always tell people, for your day-to-day, just like, oh, I don't like my manager today, you should just probably just deal with your manager. Like, I'm always like,
because you can have a manager who has not been trained or coached up to be a people manager.
Yes.
That's the difference, right? You can have a manager that understands, oversees their budget, make sure they stay on budget and don't overspend and do crazy spending in the budget that they have, and they oversee processes, but they don't necessarily have people relation skills. And that's what a lot of managers in corporate America, at some point, in corporate America, missed out on, because like, oh yeah, this person would be a great person to be a manager because they understand processes and systems. They understand how to manage budgets and how to get the job done. But do they understand that the personalities that they're dealing with to get the job done also has to be managed, also have to have oversight, also have to be communicated to. So not all managers have people relation skills.
I love that. And I will say in IT, I guess they took heed in that. And that now, at least that what I see, because I still work in IT, is that I have a people manager. But she technically doesn't know what I do because she's a people manager. So they went and hired like more so people that could, quote unquote, put me in the right place to let me thrive and flourish or whatever, right? As opposed to her knowing what I technically do on the computer every day. Her job is mainly to put me in the best position to do my job. And so they went to people managers, is like what they called it, like, they're more so there to help you with that. And then my role kind of became the person that's like the technical manager, like what you're saying, meaning like I'm overseeing technically what y'all are doing, but I don't deal with your reviews or your paychecks or your anything related to your career. I'm strictly here to be like, listen, you put that code in wrong. Okay. Gotta get the code right. Okay? I don't really have to, like you said, I don't have to care about how you feel about what I just said, because I'm there technically, you're jacking up the system. So I love that. Exactly. So how can we take our experience in corporate and bring it over to our small businesses?
Well, you know what? Let me give you an exercise. Let me give people going to be watching this an exercise. And I did this on TikTok a year ago, and it's probably my highest viewed video. Because it's a real simple exercise that I do when I'm teaching live or coaching live, or sometimes it's just in a conversation. It don't take much. But a lot of times people don't look at what their transferable skills are, right? In corporate, you've done all these great things. And a lot of times in corporate, we get on autopilot, right? We know what we know. We go in, we do our job. We try our best to do it well. If something we don't know, we just ask the question, we fix it, we keep it moving. So a lot of times we get on autopilot because it's just ingrained in us after a certain amount of time that you've been in corporate America. But if it's time to transition out, or if you're downsized and things of that nature that's happened over the last few years, it's important to actually assess. That's the word I'm looking for. Assess your transferable skills. So let me give you a quick, simple exercise that you can do. First of all, take a piece of paper. I'm a pen and paper kind of person, but I'm also a digital person. Okay. So audience, get your writing pad and your pen. We're going to do it the old school way. And I want you to make 3 columns. All right. The first column is going to be, what are all the positions that you've had in life? What are your corporate positions? Were you a Girl Scout? Were you a Boy Scout? All the positions you've had, a mother, father, because I know it's going to be men and women watching, right? A mother, father, sister, brother. I mean, all the positions that we have as an individual, and then your corporate life positions too, your titles, your job titles, your personal titles. Identify what those are. Don't judge them, just write them. The second column, I want you to actually put in skills acquired, or, skills acquired, talent evolved, right? Skills acquired. What skills can you extract from those jobs that you've been in, from those positions that you've been in? No matter what the title is, remember, put your personal titles in there too. You got mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunt, uncle, all those things, and then your job titles too. What skills have you acquired, have you honed, have you learned in those positions? All right, that should be a nice, long, healthy list, because you're doing your business and your personal titles. Then from there, identify positions that those skills could be transferred to. What position or job title would you want to be in? After you've listed all your skills, what transferable skills can go to the job that you want to have now? It's a real simple exercise. It's really a brain dump, but that kind of helps you categorize that, because a lot of people don't think of the fact that as a mother, you may have negotiation skills, you may have organizational skills, you may have conflict resolution skills, and all those kind of things. But a lot of people don't think like that. They just think, oh, well, I've been a administrative assistant, I've been a marketer, I've been in IT, and that's all they think about. But no, we all hold a lot of titles in our lives. So that's why I said business and personal title, your skill set, all the skills and everything that you've acquired from those titles. And then what position, you have to do your due diligence, right? You have to think about the kind of positions you want to be in, and not always the position that you left. It's not always the position that you left or was downsized from. It could be things that you put on the back burner that you may have wanted to do 10 years ago, but you didn't think you had the skill set for it. So that visually puts in front of you how many skills that you actually have acquired that you can craft a wonderful resume for, or, digital resume, all those kind of things. Make sure you get that done professionally. Don't let baby do your resume. Get it done professionally, okay? Because you're branching into a new world, right? You're transitioning a new world. And that is a brain dump exercise of how you can identify the transferable skills that you have, and then identify jobs that you would like to have that you thought that you didn't have the skills for before you did that brain dump.
I love this brain dump, you guys. And I would also add, when you put the columns for career, also, if you just add a column to say, what problem does that skill solve?
Exactly.
Right? What problem does that skill solve? And that will help you find your actual digital business, or your actual business. Because if you can solve a big enough problem, it creates a whole entire business for you. So I love that you go through this and you see that this is on point. And also immediately, I think for those who try to go from not being in leadership to leadership, because this was one of my struggles. I used to be like, oh, I'm not, like I just said earlier, I'm not a people manager, but I've been president of my grad chapter, right? So I've managed lots of women. That is a skill. Okay, that is a skill. Okay, and then I'm president of our nonprofit, the board of our nonprofit. So this is skills, right? Moms, you're budgeters. I don't care what kind of mom you are. You out here budgeting. You budgeting, right? You are negotiating if you got a toddler. If you ever raised a toddler, maybe you was a negotiator. Okay, because I negotiated her to be quiet during this whole interview. Okay,
because toddlers are about that no life.
They are.
All 2 and 3 year olds say no, even when they mean yes. You have to navigate the no.
What did you say no for? Like, why are you saying no just to say no? Like, they are born to be like, no. Man, you want the icicle, don't you? Oh, yeah. So I love this skill. Hopefully you guys pause the video, do the skills, or right after this, do it. Now, I would be crazy not to go down the rabbit hole really quickly, hopefully, to talk about Black females in leadership, whether it's inside or outside of corporate. What are you seeing out here? Any trends, any advice, anything in that space that we could discuss?
Well, you know what? That's a good question, because what I have noticed just in, and not even necessarily studying it, but it's like it comes up on our feed. It comes up, when we're researching things. It's like, wow, another Black woman has rose to the top of a corporation. So Black women are really setting the tone, and they're really navigating their path to be in the position that they desire to be in. Not only have they, they've worked hard, obviously. They've worked hard, they got the skill set, they maybe had mentors that have positioned them, mentally and emotionally for those elevated positions, because it takes more than just talent to get to those positions. It takes a slew of things, okay? It takes a plethora of things, right? To actually get to that point. But I have noticed that tremendously, and we're in Black History Month, right? We're still making history in 2023. All these decades and centuries later, we're still making history of women rising to the top of corporations that have never had that. Matter of fact, I just read the other day, because I used to work for FedEx back in the day, and one of the FedEx entities just promoted, one of the Black women that was in their senior leadership community, right, in their leadership ranking in the company, but she is the first Black female CEO of a FedEx entity. And I'm like, wow, we're still making history. Like I said, she's been with FedEx for like 30 years, so she's paid her dues. She's paid her dues. She was already, I think, at maybe a VP level of, one of the departments, but she just became the first Black female CEO of a FedEx entity, because there's several different entities under that umbrella of the FedEx entity. And I'm like, wow, they finally got their first Black CEO. And I hadn't worked for them in 20 years, but that was one of the best career companies that I worked for at that time. And I was in human resources for them as well, supporting thousands of people across the country in the role that I was in. So we're still making history. We're still rising to the top. We've planted seeds along the way that are now been watered and now coming to fruition. That it's like, yes, Black women are taking the position that we have earned and that we bring value to.
I love that. Yeah, I just read that article. Yes. Go over to LinkedIn, you guys, because that's where all the information like that be popping. Yes. Y'all know I live and breathe on a good LinkedIn. So here's the thing. Let us know in closing, what advice would you give us as we navigate inside and outside of corporate America? I always preach to them already, just know your HR rules when you're starting your brands and businesses. Just know the rules. That's really all you got to do is know the rules. But what other advice could you give us as we navigate inside and outside of corporate America, building our personal brands?
Sure. Let me go from the inside to the outside. If you're still in corporate America, great. That's a great place to be, especially if you have a business brewing in your head, an idea brewing in your head. Don't leave your good job, your good private investor before you need to. Okay, some of us didn't have that luxury. Don't leave your job. For what? It's like that is your private investor until you get your business where it actually replaces your income. And maybe triples your income. It's like, okay, now I can leave, because you're building a plan. Build a plan while you're inside of corporate America. While you're building your personal brand, you work on you. What does that personal brand need to be? What are your personal core values is going to drive the brand that you create? Whatever those core values are, because we all have some, right? Hopefully, we all have our personal core values. So while you inside of corporate America, make sure that you position yourself to be someone that can be impactful. Make sure that you go above your job description. Okay, make sure that you go above your job descriptions. Find ways that you can work on projects that actually elevate and kind of, put a spotlight. Oh, wait a minute, we didn't know you could do that. And build upon that. But you have to build it from your core values, build it from your skill set, and begin to position yourself as maybe the go-to person for whatever it is that you do in corporate America. Don't just wait for something to happen. Figure out how you can make a few things happen that would benefit you, and then also still benefit the company. It's not just that, okay, I just want the win for me. No, you want it to be a win-win situation. So in corporate America, plan for your exit, okay? Plan for your exit. So as long as you can be there and being your private investor, do that, and then work, and you can work on your personal brand while you're inside of the company. Now, externally, you want to take your core values with you. And then you also want to be able to position yourself. If you're building a business, what does that look like? What does that look like in phase one? I talked about this at TSP Game Plan. I talked about the 3 phases of building a cash generating team. And you need to know what that looks like, because a lot of people shy away, Demetria, from anything that has to do with HR or people operations in the beginning of their business. But as I said on the stage last week, it's like HR should be a part of your business at every phase of your business. That means at the beginning too. So understand some of the things that you can put as a foundation first. You don't have to spend any money. Anything that I said at TSP Game Plan Conference is like the startup phase. What I gave you all about what you can talk about and what you can begin to build didn't cost a dime. It did cost time, though. It costs time to be able to put your mission and vision statement together. It costs the time to be able to craft your initial org chart. It costs time to figure out, okay, what is it that you're going to want to delegate eventually, even if you don't know yet? What is it that you would like to delegate? What is your team avatar going to look like? Begin to put those things in place on paper. So as you begin to move through your business and begin to, get your first client, get the first person that's going to be on your team, you have those foundational pieces in place. So you have to lay a foundation, and not just so it can actually help you prevent being so overwhelmed. But if you have the foundation of those things, it's like, okay, I don't necessarily need it right now, but I'm going to put it in place so I can go back to what my mission and vision statement is, what my org chart looked like right now, but what I may want it to look like 6 to 12 months from now. What do I want to delegate? What should my SOPs look, standard operating procedures look like? Get those things out of your head. So there's some foundational things that you can do as you start your business without being overwhelmed or without necessarily being financially burdened. To get to that point, begin to show up. So turn on your camera. On these beautiful handheld computers we have. Turn on your camera and start talking about what it is that you have an expertise in, what you are talented in, what you are skilled in, especially if you've identified the kind of business that you want to build, and just start showing up and create consistency. Now, I hadn't always been the most consistent person, but one thing people can say, I have consistently always talked about HR. Always, from the beginning. And I started HR Brain for Hire. The concept came to me in 2011. My 12-year anniversary is this month of when I came to the concept.
Let me know. We're going out in Atlanta now. We're going to go out. We can go.
We can celebrate that too before Black History Month is over. That's when I started the concept of HR Brain Fire in Black History Black History Month in 2011. So I'm 12 years in now.
12 years in. This is awesome.
Yes.
Let people know. Listen, if you didn't catch 30 nuggets during this conversation, then go back and watch it again. Get the VIP replays, okay? I'm excited because we have someone that is speaking from experience. They've been where we are, and they are where we want to go, right? Yep. So having that type of insight for somebody who actually has been where you are, because sometimes people are just born to be entrepreneurs. I want to be an entrepreneur off the rip. They know it. I always tell people, how you do anything is how you do everything. So regardless of where she was like, I've been talking about HR. I'm becoming a subject matter expert. What is what I tell you guys? Become a subject matter expert. And it doesn't matter whether you're inside or outside of corporate, you can get paid that way. Because an expert is an expert is an expert. Okay. Yes. And you already know that if they paying you to do something in corporate where you actually have to think, you are a thinker, they paying you for your thought processes, then you definitely already have a skill set that can be monetized outside of corporate. Now, if you just a punch in the button, we're gonna work on these transferable skills. Because
you have to be a problem solver. If you're a problem solver inside of corporate America, you're gonna have to be a problem solver in your entrepreneurship, no matter what it is. I mean, you could be, that's someone that walked across the stage for 7 figures at the conference. And I'm shout out her brand, Hoop Mob.
Hoop Mob, yeah, earrings.
And earrings. We love Hoop Mob. It's like, what? So it doesn't have to. So it can be anything. It can be product. It can be services. Are you solving a problem? Women love earrings.
Right. She's solving a problem.
She's solving a problem. Quality hoops and everything. It's a fun brand. She's a young lady and all those kind of things. So it's like shout out to
businesses. We get to follow them.
Exactly. Taking that idea and just running with it and not worrying about what it's like. You're selling earrings and just it's like, yeah, women love earrings.
They do.
We like earrings.
And they do. You be like, oh. So definitely this. We have enjoyed ourselves. Let us know how we can follow you. I heard you say TikTok. Let us know where to find you on LinkedIn, all the places. Let us know where to find you.
All the places. Well, on LinkedIn, of course, I'm my name, Delmar Johnson. You find me there. I've been on there more often since the new year started. It's like me and LinkedIn, we have a back and forth relationship, but I'm trying to get in tight with LinkedIn. So it's my name, of course, Delmar Johnson. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Delmar Johnson. And you can also check out my new website. I actually updated my website, hrbrainforhire.com, hrbrainforhire.com. And we have some great things coming with our tech that we're adding to the brand, and we're launching that in Women History Month called Expand HR. So it's payroll plus hiring and onboarding platform. So we're so excited about that. So you're about to be hearing a whole lot about that over the next 6 to 7 weeks. We're going to be talking, we're going to be doing videos, podcasts, all those kind of things. But you can definitely find me everywhere, Delmar Johnson, and then hrbrainforhire.com.
Awesome. This has been great, you guys. We have got to find a way to get Delmar also on the podcast, right? You guys, because
Yes.
we didn't even get to touch on code switching and all the other things that I know she got some opinions on. So I hope that you have enjoyed her speaking on the Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit. This is her first year here. We're excited that you joined us in the 5th year of Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit. We always love new topics, new speakers. We love the information that you brought, you guys. If you don't already have it, what I'm going to tell you, go get the VIP pass, and so that you can listen to her over and over and over again, and you can do this exercise side by side. I'm Demetia Samuels. That is Delmar Johnson, and we are out in this version of the Corporate Hustle Virtual Summit. Talk to you guys really, really soon.